Okay, so you have a place
Put
to
them
put
here,
things,
right?
and you have to speak right up to the microphone.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. This is not a cover on it, eh? That's the mic.
That's it. That's
Okay.
it. So yes, you need to
And
step.
I can move it a
You
bit.
can move it a bit, and you need to step right up.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Okay. And I'll look for you to make sure that.
Yeah, I'll be making passing.
מזמור לדוד. אדוני רואי לא אכסר. בינו דשא ירביצני על מי מנוחות ינהלני. נפשי ישובב יענקני במגלי צדק למען שמו. גם כי ילך וקיצה למוות, לא ידע רע כי אתה עמתי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני, תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי. דישנת בשמן ראשי כוסי רוויה. אך טוב החסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, והשבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. From the 23rd Psalm, a Psalm of David. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want, giving me repose in green meadows, leading me beside the still waters to revive my spirit, guiding me on the right path, for that is God's essence. Though I walk through a valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod comfort me. You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever. So we are gathered here this afternoon, sadly to say goodbye to Bertha Ginsberg. Beila bat Felix v'Chaike, Zichrona livracha, of blessed memory. The daughter of Philip and Clara Brick, of blessed memory. The wife of the late Jaime Ginsberg, blessed memory. The sister of Bernie Brick, Fred and Cynthia Brick, Jerry and Ruth Brick, and the sister-in-law of Geraldine Brick, and also the late Beulah Brick, of blessed memory. The mother of the late Michelle Shapira, of blessed memory, and also Michael and Barbara Ginsberg, Lawrence and Minda Ginsberg, and Karen Ginsberg and Ted Ramsey. The grandmother of Alan, Sidney, Jack, Richard, Daryl, Diana, Jeff, Cynthia, Erin, Stephanie, David, Lisa, and Gina. And the great-grandmother, Leah, Andrea, Jacob, Ariel, Raphael, Hannah, Zachary, Caleb, Faye Ruth, and Charlotte. Bert passed away on Monday, August 31st, at the age of 95. According to the rabbis, the most important moment of the funeral is the eulogy. It's the moment of the space and the ritual when we take time to review, to recap the life of our loved ones. And why did the rabbi command such a thing? Why would they say that that's the most important part of the service? Actually, from all the things that and the symbols that you will see in this ritual at the cemetery, pretty much the only three things that they have a biblical origin are the black ribbon that we put on the mourners, the burial on the earth, and the eulogy. The eulogy has biblical origins. The first one, according to the Bible, who pronounced a eulogy was Abraham when he was in front of the coffin of his wife, Sarah. And what did Abraham do? Well, the rabbi said that he stood up in front of everybody, letting people know all the virtues of Sarah. Today is our obligation to replicate that biblical history and to recap somehow Bert's life so we can be aware of all the virtues, all what she has done during her life. Because every funeral is an opportunity for each one of us to remember that we are finite, to remember that our days in this life are limited. And each time that we have an opportunity to listen to the virtues of somebody who was on this earth before us, we have an opportunity to get inspired by their work so we can bring some new meaning to our own lives. We have an obligation, each one of us, to do our best in this world. Actually, in the words of the rabbis, there was a very famous rabbi from the time of the Mishnah about, we'll say, the year 300 before the Common Era. Rabbi Tarfon, he said, it is not up to you to finish the task, but neither are you free to absolve yourself from it. And as we are going to listen in a few minutes, Bert's life was not short of challenges. But she didn't quit. She faced each one of those challenges. And from that, we can find a source of inspiration. Today, we are saying goodbye to a woman who met every challenge of her life with perseverance. And today we can appreciate the reward reserved for her on her family and all the deeds Bert did during her life. The Torah on Deuteronomy chapter 4 says, "Only be careful and watch yourself diligently as long as you live, so that you won't forget what you saw with your own eyes, so that these things won't vanish from your hearts. Rather, make them known to your children and grandchildren." And I should add today, great-grandchildren. That's why we have an obligation to share the wonderful memories that Bert leaves for all of us as a source of inspiration. So, this moment, I would like to invite Ted to come forward to eulogize Bert on behalf of the entire family.
Yeah, thank you, Cantor. Cantor, family, friends, the Cantor did not set a time limit on which I had in order to praise Bertha Ginsberg, but so I hope none of you are in a 2-hour parking zone. I do not get many honors these days, but this is one honor that I treasure, saying goodbye to Bertha Ginsberg. mother to four: Michelle, known as Chicky, Larry, Karen, and Michael, also known as Rocky. Mother-in-law, auntie, friends, and in her most famous role, the beloved Bubba Bert. Bertha Ginsberg, or Bertha Brick, was a tour de force for all of her 95-plus years. During her early years in New York in the Depression era, she and her twin, Bernie, knew the heartache of losing their birth mother when they were only 9 years old. 2 years later, they were uprooted from their extended family in New York when their father remarried to Ida Barsky, a Winnipegger. Bert had a ready answer for his grandchildren when they asked, "Why would anybody move from the Big Apple to Winnipeg?" Bert's answer was always that, "We heard there was bread in Winnipeg." Bert had met many challenges in her first years in Winnipeg, being uprooted from what was familiar to her, getting used to a new mother, making new friends, getting used to a new school system, helping in the operation of the family business, and being teased about her accent and foreign clothes. Notwithstanding all these challenges, she still had her dreams and her aspirations. Some remained unfulfilled, but she did achieve her big dream of building a home and a life for her family. The permanent sign in her kitchen, which read, "No matter where I serve my guests, they like my kitchen best," that pretty much told the story. The home that Bert presided over was known for its open door and warm hospitality, and most especially for her many grandchildren and beloved nephews and nieces, great nieces and nephews. I got full exposure to Bert's warmth and hospitality very early in my relationship with Karen. I think it was the second visit around there. She marched me into her kitchen, sat me down, and asked, "What are your intentions toward my daughter?" I won't deny that I shook a little in my boots. Our first visits were overwhelmingly friendly and welcoming. I remain ever so grateful for the ways in which both Hy and Bert embraced Jeff and Cynthia. Almost immediately, they asked them to call them Bubba and Seda. And of course, Seda had quarters to hand out to both of them. One of Bert's dreams was to see more of the world through travel. While the dream went mostly unfulfilled, she did take trips to Toronto and Ottawa after Hy died, and she found the light in everything she saw, talked to everyone she met. One day, when Karen was still working with the federal government in a senior position, she arranged for Bert and her close friends, Sarah and Sammy Hotchman, who were also visiting Ottawa, to get passes for the visitors gallery of the Parliament building. Staff took them by the Prime Minister's office, and she met Brian Mulroney at the office there, and she complimented him on his raincoat. It was a timely visit, as Brian needed a little boost to his ego. She had the ability to make every person, even a prime minister, feel like they were the center of attention. Her wit and storytelling abilities were well known and loved by all, even the off-color jokes. Stories about her early life in New York with her father, birth mother, and the Sleaternick family, as well as her stories about her early life in Winnipeg and the part she played in raising her younger brothers, and that was extensive, would all have made excellent materials for a first novel. And Bert, give her credit, she had aspirations of writing, and not only writing, but painting. And we still have some of her paintings hanging in our house. With her children grown, and after she had spent the 60s supporting High in his recovery from heart surgery and a stroke, she still treasured her home and the fact that her children, nephews, nieces would drop in for visits. Bert had a unique, loving relationship with her grandchildren. All her nephews and nieces played a huge part in giving her meaning to her life. She was overwhelmed when her grandchildren, nephews and nieces, and I could say at least one daughter, came to celebrate her and Bernie's 75th birthday. She wasn't so happy about the telegram from Lloyd Axworthy, but otherwise she enjoyed it. They gave her a gift of a kite and then took her out unmasked to fly the kite, and she was tickled to death. Before she and Bernie both had to go into care, she especially loved the days when Bernie was brought to her home and they would spend hours reminiscing. In preparing this eulogy, I did ask some of Bert's children of their special memories of their mother. Chickie entered Bert's life with High several years before Larry, Karen, and Michael were born. Tragically, Chickie predeceased Bert. But in early discussions with her, she recalled fond memories of a home full of engaging hospitalities, good food, and lively music, certainly lively music. Larry remembered how fiercely his mother defended her children under any circumstances. He felt that his friends always wanted to come to his house. They were welcomed with menus such as hot dogs with a side order of chocolate cake. Not only that, but Larry felt that Bubba Bert spoiled his children with chocolate sundaes for breakfast and loved them, but she did love them unconditionally. Karen, well, Karen, we all know that she has an independent streak. I think that she really began to appreciate her mother most when she became a mother herself. Bert's love and ready attachment to our children cemented our relationship. Rocky also fondly remembers the Bert and High Drop-In Center at 361 Perth. Rocky recalled that on one occasion, when they were there for dinner, that Bert prepared 3 packages of spaghetti, baked enough meatballs for several meals, along with a tossed salad, jelly mold, egg bread, and hidden in the oven, just in case somebody got hungry, was a roasted chicken. That time there was only 6 for dinner. Bert's legacy is defined by the strong sense of values that every child and grandchild and great-grandchild carries with them. Her memory will remain a blessing to them. To quote her grandson, David Ginsberg, she was a beacon of light on a foggy morning. I want to make a special mention of a couple that brought sunshine and love to Bert's life, and that's Socorro and Ed Keene. Their help and devotion to Bert over her declining years was a blessing to her and her family. Thank you, Ed and Socorro. They are here today to give honor to Bert. And we also want to express our family's sincere thank you to the staff at the Simpkins Center, all of whom that have looked after Bert with compassion and care. And here's Stewie. Rocky, Michael, the final words of praise go to you and your family for the years and years worth of care you provided Bert. In the years between High's death and the need for her to go into care, Rocky and his family were largely responsible for ensuring Bert's home was safe and that she had food and that her health concerns were addressed. Indeed, every detail of her person. We all tried to share in those tasks, but no one could do what you were able to do. You have been the rock of the family, the go-to man. Rocky, Barb, and the children deserve heaps of praise and our heart-filled gratitude. Rocky is acknowledged at the Simpkins Center as a son many would like to have called their own. And we certainly experienced that when we went to the home to clear out Bert's personal belongings. Everybody knew him. In fact, they all hugged him. Words cannot express the gratitude we owe to you and all of her children and grandchildren, and that includes so many here. May we always have warm and loving memories of Bert. Mother, mother-in-law, Baba, aunt, and somebody that kept me on a straight and narrow path. Thank you.
We thank Ted for summarizing Bert's life so beautifully. And actually, there is a very beautiful and controversial prayer that we have in the synagogues for the high holidays. We usually sing this right after the Unetane Tokef, one of the most important prayers of the high holidays. And this prayer says, Our origin is in dust, and our end is in dust. We make our living at the risk of our life. We are like fragile earthenware, like grass, like a flower that fades, like a fleeting shadow and the passing cloud, like the wind that blows away, like floating dust, like a dream that vanishes. And then the rabbis look at this prayer and they said, that's it. That's all. We come from the earth and we return to the earth. It's all what is about, it's all what life is about. Actually, if you read basically the tombstones, all what you see is date of birth and date of death. But the rabbis say, well, that might mark our beginning and our end. But it was really important is what happens in between. Our beginning is on earth, our end might be on earth. But in between, we have in our power to transform our days into something else, into something more. We have the power to inspire, we have the power to transform, and we have the obligation to inspire and to transform in a way perhaps like Bert did with her life. And that's why at this moment I would like to sing for you this prayer. But to be faithful to the musical taste of the family, I'm going to use a Broadway tune with the Hebrew text. Adam, Adam, Yesodo me'afar, Vesofo, Vesofo, Vesofo lehafar, Venafsho yavi lachmo, Mahashul kecheres hanishbar. Mashul Adam kecheres hanishbar. Kechatzitz yabesh Adam Adam. Uchetzitz dovel Adam. Ketzel over Adam. Ucheanan kale Adam Adam. Uchruach noshavet Adam Adam. Uchiavak poreiach Adam 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 Yesodo Yesodo meyafar Vesofo Vesofo leafar Vechachalom Yahu. At this point, I would like to invite you all to rise for the El Maleh Rachamim prayer. El Maleh Rachamim Shochem Bameroimim Hametzeh Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei HaShechina במעלות קדושים, קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע המזהירים, את נשמת בילה בת פייליק וחייקה שעליך לעולמה בעבור שלום מתפללים ועד הצקרת נשמתה בגן עדן בגן עדן תהי מנוחתה לכם בלרחמים Asti ea veseder cana favleola mim Ucer orbits rarachayim Achayim et nishemata Adonai unachalata ותנוח ושלום על משכבה ונאמר Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Bertha Ginsberg, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated. So I have a couple of announcements. First, I would like to thank you all on behalf of the family for coming here today to share your presence and your love with them. And also I would like to acknowledge the virtual presence of some family members and friends that they've been following the service on the internet. It's great that sometimes we found ways to shorten the distances, and even though we are not physically present, we somehow we can offer our companionship, even if it's long distance. Also would like to announce that immediately after we finish with this service here, we are going to proceed in caravan fashion to the Sharesedek Cemetery, which is located in the corner of Main Street and Armstrong. After the burial service, everybody is invited to the meal of consolation that will be on 111 Lombard, that's Ira's Deli. Remember, that will be after the burial, and the Shiva will be private. So at this point, I would like to invite the pallbearers to assume their places alongside the coffin, and everybody else, please rise as we prepare ourselves to accompany the casket to the hearse.